Have you ever thought, why do we exist in this world? What are we here for? What is our purpose here? Why do we have to exist? Is there some kind of objective, transcendental reason why we are here? Most of us might be in school or college, then we might decide to apply for a job, work, find a partner, get married, have children, if we're lucky, and then enjoy retirement, if that's even prepared for. After that, we die. And we might die before all that happens. So, what is the meaning of all this? What will I get out of what I do today? What will I get out of my life? Why do I have to do what I do? Why do I even want something? What is it for? Is there any meaning behind all this? Is life just about surviving? Is life just about waiting to die? Is life just about fulfilling biological needs while waiting for death? If we ask who the father of our grandfather is, most of us wouldn't know. Everything is forgotten. It's very difficult to live and be remembered by the generations after us. And even if we're fortunate enough to leave a significant impact on the world and be remembered by others. But what is it all for? Why do we want it? We won't feel the appreciation when others remember us. We are gone. If we don't know how we came to be here, or where we came from, how can we know why we are here? If we don't know where we are going or what we will become, how can we know if what we're doing now has any significance to our lives? If we don't know the reason why we're here, if we don't know where we're going and who we'll become, how can we know that our actions now have any significance to our future? All these existential questions have actually been answered long ago by thinkers. From these questions emerged various beliefs, religions, concepts, and so on. But if we actually ask, why? All the complex concepts created long ago can collapse with just one word. This leads us to the conclusion that this world has no real value. In many religions, God created the entire universe, placed us in it, and whatever we do in this world will determine how our life will be in the afterlife. For some people, the meaning of life is when they can spend their lives with the closest people they have, friends, family, and loved ones. Many people also say that the fact that we are alive is what makes life worth living. But for nihilists, nothing matters. However, all actions, suffering, good and bad, all have no meaning. Religion, love, life, all have no meaning. This is nihilism, the belief in nothingness. At some point in our lives, we will surely experience this nihilistic thought, feeling like we have no purpose, feeling like our life has no meaning. Usually, this starts to appear when we begin to question what we have believed all along. As far as we can see, we become a being in a mysterious reality for a short time. We do whatever we want to do, feel what we feel, until we die. This feeling arises when we begin to grow out of the values held by our parents, start learning new things, experiencing new experiences, and forming our own values about how we see the world. All these questions begin when we start asking, why? Why do you believe that? Where does it come from? Why? And why? Continuously asking will bring us to a point where we no longer have any answers. At the point where there is nothing, everything is zero. Animals and plants seem just fine with this. They come into the world and do what they do: eat, reproduce, survive, and then die without asking anything. We are both fortunate and cursed because we have a superior brain, which makes us dare to ask questions that can lead us into a pit of emptiness. We cannot be satisfied with the existing system without further explanation. We want to know everything about this life. Why are we here? What should we do? What is the purpose of all this? It is at this point that they reach the conclusion that there is no why. There is only nothingness, nothing at all. Nihilism, from the word nihil, which means nothing, and ism, which means ideology or belief. Nihilism means the ideology of nihilism, the belief that nothing in this world has meaning, the belief that everything is nothing. Nihilism is the idea that there is no grand design or purpose. Nothing is worth believing in, and nothing has meaning. In nihilism, there are many branches, such as political nihilism, ethical nihilism, aesthetic nihilism. And in this video, we will focus on existential nihilism, which is the understanding that life has no purpose or meaning. Kierkegaard, although he never directly spoke about nihilism, he explained the same concept with the name Leveling. He said that when someone reaches Leveling, individuality and uniqueness no longer exist. Uniqueness gives us meaning, value, and satisfaction. And when everything is equal or the same, then there is no meaning. Although he argued that Leveling can teach us a lesson to a certain degree, he also argued that it can lead us into meaninglessness. Nietzsche introduced the concept of perspectivism, which is the knowledge that the apple is red comes from our own perception, and it might be different from someone else's eyes. The red apple that I see may not be the same as the red apple you see, let alone what a horse or cat sees. There is no objective truth that the apple is indeed red. All knowledge is bound by perspective. According to Nietzsche, this will all lead us towards nihilism. This explanation is similar to Albert Camus' concept of the absurd. Nietzsche proposed two forms of nihilism: pressure from one's need for purpose or meaning, for a reality that actually has no purpose or meaning. Nietzsche proposed two forms of nihilism: passive nihilism, which is giving up what one wants, and by doing so stopping any suffering one has. Nietzsche did not like this because it only ends something without replacing it with something new. Nietzsche instead offered active nihilism. Active nihilism, where the old meanings or values we hold are actively destroyed and replaced with new ones. We might not be able to return to science because it will only avoid the question and provide more questions. We might not be able to return to philosophy because it will only provide more questions or frame the question in a more complex form. And the only thing we might be able to do to keep living sanely is to simply believe. Simply believe that perhaps our life here has meaning, even though there is no evidence to explain it. Faith, although still irrational, is enough to provide answers to life's questions and make life worth living. Is it really necessary to search for an eternal, objective purpose for everyone? Or is it that what we should seek is a purpose for ourselves, according to the situation we face? In a meaningless world, can we still create meaning for ourselves? Nietzsche presented the idea of the Übermensch. Nietzsche presented the idea of the Übermensch, or the Superman, someone who has mastered themselves, created themselves, and is not bound by rules created by others, but instead creates their own. By doing so, they not only conquer nihilism, but also protect themselves from the brainwashing offered by various movements, idealism, or beliefs. According to Nietzsche, we must face nihilism first before moving forward. Nihilism provides a logical conclusion to the values and idealism we hold. Experiencing nihilism is essential to understanding the value held by a value. Destroying your house doesn't mean it makes you homeless, because it could be an opportunity for you to build a better and bigger house. If nothing matters, why should we do anything at all? What should we consider important if everything is meaningless? Actually, if you think about it, a universe without objective truth isn't really a bad thing, but it's the attitude of others that makes it problematic. Many people become depressed when faced with the nothingness of their lives. Many become depressed when they realize that everything they have worked on is utterly pointless. Sadness, pessimism, and despair dominate their minds. Does the nothingness of life really need to be resolved? Why does life have to have meaning? Isn't life worth living even if it has no meaning? Why don't we throw all that burden off our shoulders and stop asking such existential questions? Nihilism doesn't necessarily have to be negative. On the contrary, it gives us the freedom not to take things too seriously. Emile Choron once said, "If everything is just a coincidence, why take it so seriously? When all the reasons, moral, aesthetic, religious, social, and so on, no longer guide one's life, how can one survive without appealing to the absurd? Only by having a relationship with absurdity, a love of absolute futility, loving something that has no substance, but simulates the illusion of life. I live because mountains don't laugh and worms don't sing." The fact that nothing matters makes the meaninglessness itself should also not matter. And it shouldn't make our lives more miserable. Instead, we should enjoy it. Because actually, nothing has changed from before. According to Albert Camus, the bleakness of life is not a reason to despair, but to stay alive. By maximizing the quantity and variety of life experiences, the absurd individual lives life to the fullest, knowing full well that everything ends in nothing. For Camus, to have this thought is to be free, having no fixed direction, no responsibilities and no goals. There is only the present life. If we know that a movie will end in due time, does that make us not watch it, knowing that it will end? Or will it make us appreciate it knowing that it will end? Thank you.